I'm Will Richards, and this is The Dash, an insight to the success story of people from all walks of life in their chosen field, from your average Joe to people in the limelight. If you're looking to level up, stick with us. This just might help. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
No worries, thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing a couple of the old samples as well. I'll get those in the fridge later on. Very much looking forward to it. For any spoilers, really, I've already tried Unlimited. That is one of the reasons Johnny is here, because I'm a massive fan of the product. But also, it's a very unique story. But visually, we know what you have. There's a couple of alcohol-free beers. I'm sure people could have guessed by the caption. But let's just go through what exactly you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm the co-founder of a non-alcoholic beer brand. My wife, Antonia, is the other co-founder. So we created a non-alcoholic beer back in 2020s when we launched, that is also healthy. So it tastes great and it's got health benefits to it. So super low in calories, vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free. It's got naturally occurring B vitamins in there, which is come from the brewing process, from the ingredients. So yeah, a healthy non-alcoholic beer.
You're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
Right? Was that an intention, or was that a byproduct of creating it? You're like, oh Christ, it's healthy as well.
No, we did set out with that goal. So when I gave up drinking in 2019 for 3 months, and we can go into this. I don't know if you want to ask me questions, but
yeah, of course.
I'd like to sort of talk through how it all began.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go ahead.
So Antonio and I got married in 2019, and it was like 3 weeks of wedding celebrations, so lots of drinking. And after that, they were all finished. I thought to myself, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months, just because I just felt knackered. And a friend of mine had given up drinking, and was singing lyrical about how good it was. So I stopped drinking for 3 months, and within 3 weeks, I started to feel great. I was sleeping better, exercising more. I was more productive. I was happier, but I did miss having a beer.
Right.
So then I tried, alcohol-free beers that are in pubs and bars, and I didn't really.
Yeah, there's some really bad ones out there. I mean, I'll say it so for your sake, you don't. Like, your Beck's Blue is awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a few others that some of them are getting better now, but yeah, the majority are pretty crap.
And that's what was available when back then. Really, it was Beck's Blue and then another big brand, and but then I found some craft brands online that were really good.
Right.
And but they just weren't in pubs and bars, and then. So I looked into alcohol-free beer and how it's made, and discovered that it can be nutritional if it's brewed in a certain way, but no brand really promoted that. And I just thought to myself, they're missing a bit of a trick, because I was more conscious about what I was putting in my body, because I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
If there was a beer that had like these health benefits, I just thought that was something that I would want. And then I saw how much the category was growing. I had this like new lease of life from not drinking. Have you seen the film Limitless?
Yeah. So NZT, big fan.
Yes.
Yeah. NZT is my Unlimited and Lions, mate. I take those and I'm good to go, you know what I mean?
But yeah, so basically, when people say to me, how does it feel? How do you feel not drinking? I was like, I feel like I'm on the Limitless pill. Because it was...
Is that the reason for the name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did want to call it Limitless Beer, but I think at the time there was a brand that was trademarked in America called Limitless Beer, so I couldn't take it. But
selfish.
Exactly, yeah. But then I saw, but then we were, playing around. Naming a brand is the most difficult thing I've done.
Oh, 100%. It took me, I've wanted to do this podcast for a long time, and it took me to, which I have spoken about this before, to be at a friend's funeral, where this was the poem that was part of the order of service, for me to go, shit, that's it. That's the answer, the dash.
Yeah.
So it does make sense, and I love the no vowels, I love the concept of it, and the logo and branding is fantastic. We'll get into that in a bit. One question for you, though.
Yeah.
For loads of people that are creating a brand or thinking of doing it or trying to do it, what were you doing before that? You obviously got married, you've been on the beers for a few weeks, months, and years probably in total,
Yeah.
And you've rightly so, you've gone, I need a break from this. Then you've discovered there's a market here. But where were you at when you discovered that? What were you doing?
So I worked in the City of London as a tailor.
A suit tailor?
Yeah.
Shit.
So
okay.
I didn't make suits. So I say I was a tailor. I wasn't the guy that could make the suits, but I was basically a sales guy.
Right.
So I worked for. That's typical, isn't it?
Yeah, classic, mate.
It's probably my mum. Put it on silent. No, so I was a tailor in the city. I used to go around to basically go to the offices of really busy guys who were in banking, law, insurance, go to their offices and measure them up for suits, shirts, and jackets.
Right.
And it's like Wolf of Wall Street stuff where you used to go on trading floors and
so they're on the phone and you're measuring
phone
up
and tape measure around.
Right.
Them. Yeah, so I did that for 7 years. So completely different from drinks or beer or.
Yeah.
I just really loved beer, and I think
we all do. That's the problem,
But I think it was just that was working in this. So I started there when I was 25.
Yeah.
25. Yeah. And I did it for 7 years. And I was good at it. I really enjoyed it. But it was just lots of going out for drinks with colleagues, going out with clients for drinks, living a London lifestyle. And I think in your 20s you can hack it, but
yeah, no, 100%.
When I turned 30, hangovers just started to get horrendous. And yeah, so that was probably.
So how old are you now?
35.
Oof. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Joking. So yeah, we're not dissimilar. I'm 32, and even though I look a lot younger, I know. So it's just interesting to see how. So how long has Unlimited been running for now?
4 years this June, so yeah, just over 3.5 years.
And it's 4 years since you've had that conversation with yourself, shit, I need to create this business.
Yes, 2019, is when September 2019 is when I was just like, right, I'm going to start this.
So you did all this during the pandemic?
We launched during the first lockdown.
You're fucking nuts. So you've had this brand new idea, and I can only presume pumped a load of your own money that you've set aside for something, a rainy day, whatever you've done. Is that the case? Did you have investment straight away, or?
No, so go back a few years. So in a bit of a sort of, not a what word am I looking for? Not a sob story, but back in 2015, my dad passed away suddenly. So I had some inheritance from him. It wasn't much, but there was some money that I. And in the suit company that I worked for, I invested in that. I put like 20 grand into that when I started, and then it was like 100 grand when I left.
Right.
Because it was quite a really good sort of growing business, and you could be like a partner in it. So I basically put at the start. I had about 100 grand to get going. But so September 2019 came up with the idea. 10 months setting it all up, and I always set a date of the 1st of June to launch. But obviously, COVID happened, and we were in lockdown in March. My wife, Antonia, gave birth to our firstborn in May 2020. So she gave birth to Rosie in May 2020. I launched the beer business 3 weeks later. But because, so obviously everyone was at home, right? I couldn't sell suits to anyone. Trying to sell. They were trying to get us to sell suits over Zoom, and it was like impossible. Right?
Can you just hold your arm up for a second?
Yeah.
Measure on the screen.
Well,
right?
it's just like I used to speak to clients, and they'd be like, they're like, John, I'm at home in like my pants. It's like I'm not wearing suits at the moment, so stop trying to sell me a suit. So. But because Tony gave birth, we took shared parental leave.
Right.
Because dads can take 6 months and the mum takes 6 months. So, in effect, I did that, didn't work for the suit company, and I had 6 months to launch the business and try and get it off the ground. And then I went back to work in like November 2020 and then handed in my notice like a month later.
So things had picked up enough for you to go, right, I can go?
Yeah, and I thought, well, I did try and do both, but it's like I'm all in, basically. I've got, I've put all of our life savings in, and I couldn't focus on selling suits when I was trying to grow. Growing a brand is difficult, right?
Yeah.
So it needed my full attention, and I sort of think if you're going to do it, you've got to go all in.
So there's a lot to cover here, right? So the first thing that I want to touch base on, you sadly lost your father very, very quickly. You mentioned earlier on it was a really tragic incident, right?
Yeah, he was killed in a landslide in Bulgaria. So he was on holiday with his girlfriend by a waterfall. So it's like a nature, like beauty, nature reserves type of place. And there was a bridge that went in front of a waterfall, and it was a clear blue sunny sky, and they're having a photo taken, and this waterfall's been there for thousands of years, just collapsed and basically killed him and his partner. And I found out. I was actually going in to see a client in RBS to sell him a suit. I got a call from the Evening Standard saying, some journalist saying, I want to ask you about the incident that happened to Ian Johnson. And I was just like, what are you talking about? He's like, the incident that happened in Bulgaria. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he goes, I think I've got the wrong person, and then hung up. And I was like, what? And then I Googled British man Bulgaria, and then the Daily Mail article at the very top with a picture of his girlfriend, and it said what happened. So that's how I found out. So it's shocking.
You found out that your dad had passed, and your
dad's girlfriend
had passed via the media.
Yeah. So they found out. They found out we were investigating it and trying to get a statement before the police or anyone. Or
I suppose your dad was, you know, of a certain age where he didn't feel the need to say, by the way, I'm going here. Or...
No, weirdly enough, right? Weirdly enough, we messaged that morning, and I still got it in my archive chats in WhatsApp. But messaged that morning, he was saying he was going for a hike with his partner, and I can't remember what we said now. But it was something really like eerie, where I was just like, I don't know, we sort of joked about death. I can't remember what it was. I won't pull it out but it was. I was just like, you know, or don't get lost. Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, it's just very weird. And
something obviously somewhat meaningful in retrospect.
Yeah, to obviously what happened. But yeah, so that happened, and that was, and then my dad had a business. He was a financial advisor, and it was basically, cause my mum and dad had divorced, right? So it then went on me and my sister to sort everything out. So we had to get him back from Bulgaria, sort all that out, and then do all the insurances and do all, you know, sort out. And I was 25 at the time, 26.
It's a lot to deal with at any age, let alone someone that's just figuring out who they are as a person.
Yeah. And it's so basically, but I just went into like autopilot mode. So I was just like, I didn't want cause my sister was obviously, you know, we were both really upset, but I went into like autopilot and just, you know, just sorted everything out basically. But it took, from start to finish, 5 years to sort everything out.
Really?
Because because he was abroad and there was all this other stuff going on. Paperwork, and so that was stressful, and that probably, you know, led me to drink more. And, you know, or when I did drink, just going mad.
So this is pre-wedding?
Pre-wedding,
right.
Yeah, leading up. So from like 25 to, God, how long have we been married? Time flies.
Yeah.
But it's probably like, you know, 5 years, 7 years, and it probably just got progressively worse, where I'd just blow out at the weekends.
Yeah. Well, for good reason, because I guess there is a level of, you had trauma, grief, something you never took to process, and you never got to say goodbye. I think that there's something to be said for what you mentioned. Again, don't get it up because it is emotional, but that last message that you spoke to each other, not knowing it was the last message, even being a little bit jesty, a little bit funny, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I think he said something like, he goes, I'm going to go to the mountains, hopefully I don't get killed, or something like that. But it's just like, because it's probably too much detail. So his partner was Bulgarian,
right.
And I think she was going through a messy divorce with her husband, and so he was sort of implying, "Oh, hopefully I don't get."
Oh, that, as in they do him over?
Yeah.
Right,
something like that. But anyway.
I kind of get the background of that because I've been to Bulgaria a few times.
Okay,
it's an interesting place. I go skiing out there. So yeah, but it's so strange how these things happen and how things come about. And did you speak to your dad every day in life, in normal?
Well, I was a bit of a naughty teenager.
Yeah,
so
I see that.
I was I was just a bit of a dickhead to my parents when I was, you know, I think I was just going through those teenage years. So I fell out with my dad when I was when I was a teenager. But then when I joined the suit company, I always said to my dad when I was younger, I said, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. I'm going to own a business, and this is like when you're a young teenager or a young kid, right? And my dad always pushed. He's like, it's not that easy. You know, it's not. You know, he basically always sort of poo-pooed it a little bit, which then drove me to sort of be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And so anyway, when I joined the suit company, I went off to a fly. I'd never done any sales before, and I had like, this is me bragging a little bit now, but I had like the best first year sales in the last 20 years in this office, and which then meant I got this bonus trip. I took my mum and dad away, and my sister. We went to Florida because we had a company conference out there, and I had to do this big speech on stage in front of the whole company, like 1,000 people.
Right.
And so this is sort of me rebuilding my relationship with my dad, right? And then I remember I came off, when I'd done this speech, I came off stage, my dad was crying and he said, I'm so proud of you. And that's like the first time I felt, God, I'll never get emotional.
It's fine, mate. Take a second.
But that was sort of, my dad then, I think sort of, he obviously always respected me, but he probably respected me
more.
A bit, yeah. He sort of,
he showed it.
Yeah, he showed it. And I was just like, oh, I've done it, in a way. So that was, so we did have a really good relationship just before because that trip happened in July when I did that speech, and then it was in the November that he had the accident. So yeah, so it's sort of, in terms of, you know, best times to die, that was it. That it couldn't have been a better time.
Great job.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's, I think, again, it's so nice that you heard those words. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Before it was too late to hear that.
Yeah.
And I get the sense, tell me if I'm wrong, that you now have a subconscious mission to make sure that stays the same.
Yeah.
You may never hear that physically once again, but you'll know. You know.
Yeah.
You'll know that that's the case, and I commend you for it, because you're doing something in such a fantastic way, because not only have you created a product that's popular, it's great branding, it's actually healthy, and it's something that helps people. You massively helped me, mate, because I stopped drinking and I needed to find something else, you know, and that helped me massively. I think that's how we first started talking, because I was trying to find a good product, and there you go, mate. But it's really good that you've embraced that grief, like we mentioned earlier on. You embrace that grief. Would you say that's a driving force for you now?
Yeah, I think, you know, after, because it's one of those things, right? It was wrong place, wrong time, act to God, and I've never had anyone close to me die. Like when I was growing up, you hear about people dying, like friends, parents, or, you know. So he's the first person that in my family that had died. So, but it made me realise after that happened, I was just like, gosh, you can get, when people say you can get knocked over by a bus tomorrow, it's literally one of those things, right? It's like, shit, you've got one life, you've got to do what you can, right? Because it did change my mindset. Because it's like, right, what do I want to do? Because you know, this could be over, or it could be over at any point. And I want to do something good. I want to sort of leave, like, you know, without being cheesy, I do want to leave like a good legacy, right? I want to sort of made an impact or done something in the world. So when he was coming up with the business, like coming up with an idea, when I stopped drinking, it transformed my life. And I was just like, you know, if I can help. You know, I'm not basically getting people pissed and falling out of cabs. You know, I'm doing something which is stopping that from happening. So in a way, it's like a good product, right? And it's
100%.
like something to be proud of. So it did have a massive sort of driving.
Do you see do you see your dad in yourself?
My mum does all the time. My mum goes, "She's so much like your dad." Because I take the piss out of her all the time.
Yeah, well, that must be where it comes from, right? Yeah. But I guess again, that's a nice thing to hear.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think. Like I said, it's like you got one life. You've got to do something with it. And it was a wake up call, because before that, you know, I was in my 20s. I was living a 20-year-old's lifestyle, just having lots of fun, not really being that focused, which is fine, I think, in your 20s. But then, you know, there's certain things that I want to do with like in my life, and one of them's people might think it's a bit silly, but I want to go to space. Like, really want to go to space. Yeah. I'm fascinated with space.
I don't think that's silly at all. I think a friend of mine, Will, he's also interested in trying to get to space. I think he's set a time frame in which he wants to do it. It's going to be achievable. Yeah. You know, in our age bracket, it's genuinely going to be achievable. I think, slightly off topic, but I think our generation is going to be one of the longest living generations to date, because we are health conscious. Yeah. And we are making moves. I presume, you know, you're a health conscious guy. You've got children. You've got a wife. And with the stigma in the back of your head that was enforced upon you is you have one life. Why the fuck would you risk being unhealthy? Yeah. Of course, eat crap, have chocolate, do what you want, have a beer if you like drinking, drink. Yeah, yeah. But that's another thing I want to get onto, because I know that's your outlook. I'm not saying you don't drink. I'm saying maybe have one of these every once in a while instead of having, you know, a big night out just on booze, whatever. Yeah. But why would you? Why would you put crap in your body 24/7? That's going to seriously impede your life and affect others around you. You know. Well,
I was, you know, when I was drinking in my 20s, like I said, if I went out on a Friday night or Thursday night in the city with guys from work, it could be like 5 a.m. finish, not sleep, go to work, and be like, feel horrendous, and then go out Friday night, feel horrendous Saturday. So basically, not have a weekend. No. Right, but
burns into one.
Yeah, and I'd have. And you don't remember the evenings because you get so drunk and. But yeah, it was sort of like, God, I'm wasting my life away, because I'll be working all week, and then the weekend will be a blur. I feel crap the start of the week. I'll get to Wednesday, and I feel like, I feel great, and then I'll do it on Thursday night, and then it was just repeat. It was just like rinse and repeat, and obviously what happened with Dad, it was just like, right, I've just got to make a change. But like I drink alcohol now, but very less often than I used to.
So this is something I wanted to touch base on. You are the co-founder of an alcohol-free beer, but I will word it differently. It's a beer that's alcohol-free. right? The byproduct of creating this fantastic beer is that it's great, it's healthy for you, and it's actually got no alcohol in it, or low alcohol. Because that's what you have to say now, don't you? You have to say low alcohol, is that right? Or?
Well, the government guidance is, so in Europe, anything that's 0.5% and under is alcohol free.
Yeah.
In the UK, the guidance by UK legislation is like, it's got to be called de-alcoholised. But we don't de-alcoholise, right? Because that means removing alcohol. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We brew up to 0.5%.
Right.
But it's 0.5%. Like, it's impossible to get drunk on. Your body processes the alcohol as soon as you drink it. But it's basically, bananas. A ripe banana has 0.5%.
Yeah.
Glass of orange juice will have 0.5%.
Hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Get it in your bloodstream. It's not much different, is it?
No, but there's loads. So there's loads of things. Loads of foods have like the same amount of alcohol in. Obviously, we state it on there because for religious reasons you might not want it. But even the 0% beers, the 0.0 are 0.05. So there's a trace amount in there as well.
Of course, yeah, because the Guinness is 0.0, aren't they? But I always wondered how can they call it that. But again, they must brew up to a certain amount, but they can get away with calling it something else.
It's like from what I've seen, they're all 0.05.
Right.
So there is a tiny amount. But yeah, like nearly everything's probably got alcohol in it. Yeah. In some,
You could never. So like you say, that the facts are you could never drink enough 0.5s, 0.5s to get drunk on because your body just gets rid of it by the time it's in your body.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you still drink.
Yeah.
Your outlook on it, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Just sometimes make the conscious choice in the same way that do you drink soft drinks like Coca-Cola?
No.
Right. Okay. I drink Coca-Cola, but 9 times out of 10, Coke Zero.
Right.
Every now and again, there's a barber shop and they go, do you want a drink? I'm like, yeah, I'll have a full fat one.
Yeah.
So in the same sense that every now and again you have an alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
But I presume your kind of go-to is, well, I've got a big day tomorrow, but I really fancy a beer with my curry. Yeah. I'll grab one of these.
Exactly. Like during the week, I'll have, so probably for the last 6 months, I'd have alcoholic beers at the weekend. So I've got 2 young kids, they're 2 and 3.
So basically you need it. Right, okay.
But like on a Saturday, like I said, because it's like work's always like manic, right? And then on the Saturday, we'll go out with the kids to the park in the morning. We'll come back, we'll have a nice lunch, and there'll be like, Six Nations was on recently. Yeah. I'll get a couple of Guinness. I've got one of those little nitro things.
Yeah.
And I'll have a couple of Guinness at home, and it's fun. But then I get a bit sleepy. I don't really have a hangover off that. But during the week, I'll have alcohol-free beer, or I'll just drink water otherwise. Yeah. Because I want the flavour of beer. But if I have 2 like lagers or 2 RPAs in a pub, I'll feel it the next day. Yeah. So I went out a couple of weeks ago with an old mate who I haven't been out for about 6 months, and we went out in Hertford where I live, and I was out probably 4 or 5 hours, probably had about 10 pints. I can't remember. I was pissed. Right?
Solid work, yeah.
And then, but I felt shit for days. Shit for days afterwards, and I haven't drank since. Just because it just reminded me. I'm just like, because I don't go out anymore, right? Because I've got 2 young kids. It's like very rare I go out. So I went out and I had a blowout, and it was just like, I'm not doing that again.
But I think it's so commendable that the position you're in, what you've created, but you're still like, I'm human. And yeah, I've created an alcohol-free beer, and yeah, I want to promote it, and I want people to purchase it, but a blowout's a blowout.
Well, the time and the place, it's like if I go to like a wedding, or you go to if you go to like a party, right, and you can go to like parties or weddings and not drink, right? But my personal preference, like, I'll be a little bit looser when I've had a drink, and I'll get up on the dance floor because I feel a little bit more confident. And
I can see it in your eyes. I can see it's in there.
Whereas if I was stone cold sober, I probably wouldn't be so confident to do that. So there's a time and a place for me. Everyone's got their own thing, right? But I'll have a drink in certain occasions, but I'll know I'll pay the price for it. But I like beer, so I'll have I'll have some of our IPAs during the week, and it's that hits my craving. Yeah,
I get. I don't know if you've ever had this or anyone else has this, but I get something that I call placebo drunk.
Yeah. Right?
So I'll have some. I'm a fan of the lager, the unlimited lager, and I'll have 4 or 5 of those at a barbecue. Take my own along, chuck them in the ice bucket, and people will have normal beers, vodkas, gins, whatever they're drinking, and they'll get a bit giggly and tanked up, and I match that. Because the energy is shared. So I'm then like, people are like, are you drunk? I'm like, I think so, yeah. But I've not had a drop of it, So I do still have that. Don't get me wrong, it's not the same. Obviously, if I'm sat at home watching a film, having a curry, and I want a beer, I'm currently no alcohol at all. I'll still have a lager, but I won't get that placebo drunk.
Right.
The only thing I get these days is bloated. That's just, I'm getting old. That's all it is, I've got to watch that sort of stuff. So it's nice that, you're still an advocate of, if you need a blowout, have a blowout.
Yeah.
How do you see in the next sort of 5 years, how do you see the alcohol-free industry growing? Because I've got an outlook on this, I'll share with you after. But what do you think's next for this industry?
So when I first experienced that limitless feeling when I didn't drink, I thought, and I was obviously, there was 3 months where I didn't drink for, and I was like feeling like on top of the world. And my sort of realisation was that, alcohol at some point is going to be looked at like smoking sort of looked at nowadays. Whereas smoking before, doctors promoted it, and stuff like that. And but now it's a bit more frowned upon. Obviously, more people vape now. But I just thought when we were in the, I don't know what it is. There's the noughties, and then what is it? The teens.
The tens, the 2010s, yeah.
That's when I was like in my 20s, and it was booze Britain culture at that point. Everyone went out, got pissed at the weekends, went to a club.
That was all there was.
That was
work, get pissed.
Yeah, everyone did it, But now, youngsters or people younger aren't, it's social medias. You don't want to get pictured. Everyone's personal brand is more important nowadays, right? So you don't want to be pictured making a tit of yourself.
Yeah.
So I think definitely the culture's changed compared to what it used to be. And that's why hospitality and nightclub industries probably
it's crashing.
Yeah,
it's crashing quick. I think what you just said there, I totally agree with it, nail on the head. Because of your social medias, your Instagrams, your TikToks, whatever it might be, people are visually in the limelight from either it's your 50 followers or your 5 million, whoever you are. So you have this conscious thing for our age group and younger, especially the younger ones, that you don't want to be seen to be doing anything wrong, which is completely normal, as you said earlier on. To go and get tanked up at the weekend, if that's your choice, it's fine. Have the other slice of cake, don't go gym, whatever you want. But it seems to be the stigma in people's heads, like, I have to be the perfect human being, the American movie star style of human being. So they don't want to be seen with a cigarette, and they don't want to be seen drinking a beer, they don't want to be seen pissed, or whatever it is. I predict in the next 5 years, exactly the same as you've just said, it will become frowned upon and seen as smoking to be drinking. And I don't think people necessarily are going to want to cut out alcohol. I think your attitude towards it is brilliant. I think people are going to not want to drink because they'll look stupid. Which is sad, because people care so much about what other people think of them. It's always been the case, isn't it?
Well, I think people it sort of is now, and it probably has always been in some sense, but it'll be a frowned upon that people when they're drunk. Because it's like, it's
go up, mate.
Yeah.
That actually.
Yeah. But I think, there will still be, who knows? But I think there will still be like alcoholic drinks, and I like a glass of wine, right? And it's like, I don't drink. This is what I always say. There's instances where you drink to get drunk, right? It's like so I went out with my mate and I was going to get drunk. I knew I was going to get drunk, and that's why I'm drinking. Whereas if I cook a steak at home with Tony, we'll open a bottle of red and I'll have one glass of red with dinner, but I'm not drinking alcohol to get drunk. I just like the red with the steak.
The pairing,
So it's sort of, I think in that instance, it's not an issue. It's just drinking to get drunk is probably what...
Is that a sort of a hint as to what's next on the cards for Unlimited? Are you going to look into the wine sector?
I thought about this yesterday.
It's tough, I know that much.
Whoever does it's going to do very well.
Yeah, no one's done it though. No one's even come close to it. Not from what I've tried.
There's a couple of brands that are really good. Naughty AF is really good. There's a couple, like sparkling ones are generally quite good.
Yeah, the Fizzeco, Fizzero, all that lot. Yeah, I've seen them. I've tried a few of them.
But like a decent Malbec, what I like to have with... But again, one glass of red wine with steak is... I don't think it's that damaging. But
in the teens, it was. It probably still is now. It's considered to be healthy. If you have one of those a glass a week or something, the doctor says it's good for your heart. Yeah. Dark chocolate's the same. You can't win. What are we supposed to do? But this is it. So, do you think there's scope for Unlimited to go into a different sector apart from just these two beers?
Never say never.
Not necessarily on the cards right now.
Not on the cards right now. No. Just focusing on the beers. It's tough enough just launching a beer brand, but it's going really well, which is good. But I would I never say never.
I see. It's very smart what you said. He's like, this is all being recorded. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and it is difficult. There's something that I've seen recently. There's been a new alcohol-free tequila announced by what's his name? Racing driver Hamilton.
Oh, really?
He's just announced one. Now, I don't know how on earth. That's like one of the most alcoholic drinks, and the flavour is based a hell of a lot on agave and brewing. Right? Well,
for me personally, my experience of tequila is doing shots of tequila to get drunk.
Right.
So, but I know people just like sip tequila, right? That's more sophisticated.
There's bottles that are £600 a go. There's 70 cl, £600. You know, the white and blue porcelain bottles. I can't know what the brand's called now, but they're really, really popular.
But I've never, from my experience of tequila, never enjoyed drinking it. It was just one of those things that you did with your mates.
It's a blackout thing, yeah.
So, but there's probably is a market for it.
There's a market for everything. That's the thing. There's a market for everything now. There's people. I do wonder if it will go the other way and people start making alcoholic chocolate milkshakes and stuff. Because when does it stop? You know. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of it, and I'm a big fan of the idea that you can still have a good time and enjoy yourself, and it's a 0% beer and no alcohol and no hangover. That's the big thing for me. Because I hate to say this, but I do still, even if I just have full fat Coca-Colas, right? If I have a few of them, of course, a barbecue, whatever, I will wake up dehydrated and somewhat hungover. Yeah. I just can't win, basically. I'm at a loss. That's one of the main reasons I can't drink at the moment, because I'm focused on so much and making this work and making everything work well. So for me, it's a driving force. Yeah. Which, let's go back a couple of steps as well. You mentioned the situation that you had, the trauma that you went through. How much of that is your fuel? How much of that is, I want to make this work, I need to make this work, and how much of it is just a case of I want to create a product that's good? Where does it cross over from your dream to your passion?
Well, my passion, and when I was younger, it's not like I ever said that I'd want to launch a drinks brand. It sort of, it happened as a result of not drinking, which happened, and not drinking was a result of probably drinking too much, right? Which was a result of my dad passing away. So it's sort of like it's like a natural sort of knock-on effect of what, but the brand is obviously, it's a business, right? And it's a livelihood that for our family. But like I said, I want to create. I just want to. I don't know why, but I just want to create something that has a positive impact on people's lives, which can give people their lives back. Because it's like you said, it's like, if I had, when I first came up with the idea, there wasn't any good options, or the ones that tasted very good, and so I was like, if anything, I was just making a beer for myself, which obviously then it's everyone else can have it.
There's something that I spoke about recently with somebody else on someone else's podcast, actually, Brad Wenders. Passion. People will chase money at the moment. People chase success in money, right? And sadly, money does make the world go round. I think we can agree on that. I'm a firm believer that if you follow passion, money will come along. So for you to tell me that originally you created a beer for yourself, something you are passionate about, because you're like, everything else tastes crap, so I want to create something that tastes good. Yeah. You've accidentally created a massive business, that is got. I know this year's a big year for you, and it's going to come on leaps and bounds, especially the news that you've had recently, right? So it just goes to show that if you put passion first, money follows. And when I say, maybe the word success is better. When you put passion first, success follows. Yeah. And it seems to be accidentally. I know it's obviously something you wanted to do. You didn't necessarily want to create a beer that's just going to be in your fridge at home. Yeah. You can share the product. How much of your passion turned to accidentally becoming a success, and how much of it was a case of like, right, hang on, I've got something good here. How do I make this work? How much was structured plan?
I think initially I think I just had blind faith and belief in this industry sort of exploding, and it's a difficult one to answer because. So I've just gone to blank.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I guess the easiest way to put it is, you created a product. You knew it was going to be good. You knew the industry was going to blow up. Did you then go, well, that can make me money, or did you go, hang on, I can share this with the world? A bit
of both. In all honesty, it's like I've got dreams and aspirations, and like you said a minute ago, it's like everything's, the world does revolve around money. I want to have a big house. I want to build a grand design type house.
Yeah.
I want to go to space. I want to, make sure my family is financially secure if I'm not around. And to do that, there's, I could have stayed at the suit company where I was working, where it's sort of limited, right? Excuse sort of like the pun, but it's like I didn't go to university. I'm not like I could never get into, a very well paid job. It's like I worked in direct sales, right? So I could still get paid well, but it was a tough, hard grind. But also at this going off a bit of a tangent about the suit company, I used to leave home at 5 in the morning and get home at 7 at night with the 2 young kids. This is before we had kids. So when Tony fell pregnant, I was just probably one of the driving factors. It's like I want to be able to see my kids. I don't want to see them at the weekends. My clients I used to sell suits to would say they don't see their kids until the weekends, and I was just like, I don't want that. That's not what life's about. And I was like, so that was probably one of the main drivers as well. Is that I need to set something up that I can be around. And so me and Tony, and there's probably not many married couples like this, but we're literally 24/7 next to each other.
Yeah.
We sit at the desk next to each other, we sleep next to each other, we're always together. But then we've got our girls, which, although they go to nursery and childcare now, but we see a lot more of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really answered the question. But
No, it does. It does. It just goes to show that you've created an idea, and you've basically you've not necessarily aimed for the success in financial sort of status, but you've aimed for it in the sense of like, I want to spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
This can provide for my family. This, and that's.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that question is because there's people that will be watching that want to create their brand in any industry. Whatever their brand might be, it might be social media marketing, it might be a consumable product, whatever it might be. It's really important to have the right reason to go forward with it. And I do believe that if you get that passion, success, rather than success, passion, if you go for success, then passion, it's not going to work. You have to find something that you love, because when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, that old cliche statement. So you definitely found a product that you worked and then went, hang on a fucking second, this can, all these things that I want, including the space travel and including the spending time with family, whatever, is all recognised and pushed towards because you found the way to do it. Yeah. If it was tailoring, I guess it's possible to try and get yourself to a standard where you can have more time with the family and stuff. But I could only imagine, I might be wrong, so if you've done this, forgive me, but you'd have to cut the hours down so that you can spend time with the family, which would then cut your earnings down. Yeah. So it kind of, you've created your own outcome, and I think that's really nice.
Yeah, and also when, I think it is a corporate world, right, and it's there's little things like your boss, you'd be sitting at your desk at 6 p.m. on a Friday night, calling people, trying to send. No one's in the city at 6 p.m. Everyone's in a bar or at home. They've left work at like half day. That's just how it works. And our boss was like, "You've got to be here till 6." It's just like, I don't need to tell me what, I've basically sold everything over my quota this month. I should be able to just go if I want to go. Yeah. And that was one thing that, I didn't like sort of being told what to do.
Yeah. Well, that's my next question. How much of it was not wanting to work for someone, wanted to work for yourself?
Oh, a massive part. Because my dad worked for himself, and I've always had belief in myself, right? And it's some instances, if your train's late, and I used to go into the morning meeting at the suit company, that everyone would make comments like, "Oh, he's got up late." It's like, no, I actually got up early. My train was late. Yeah. But then your boss, and he just pissed me off. So I'm like, I get early every single day, and I was just like, don't question my life. And it does, so that things like that, little things like that, niggled me, and I was just like, do you know what? I don't need your approval. I just need to. I'm doing this for myself, my family. I don't need shit from you.
No, but that's part of the entrepreneurial mindset, is that you'll know you've got it, I think, if you get pissed off with, not necessarily, I've got to work for someone else. You don't think like that. It's a case of, no, don't question me. I know what my morals are. I know what I'm doing right. I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing the right thing here. Yeah. And when you start managing a business that you don't own, that's when you know, like, hang on, no, this isn't it. You should be talking to us. Yeah. Take a look at running your own business then, because it'll be good for you. What is, big question now. Yeah. What is the best advice you could give somebody? If someone sat at home looking to start their own product, their brand, what is the best advice you'd give them? Like, what's the sort of the best thing you've learnt along the way for your brand?
I think one of the biggest obstacles for people going out to start a business is that it's a massive risk, right? You give up a career, you give up a full-time job. Your friends and family tell you it's not a good idea. It's just don't listen to them. Don't listen to anyone. Just if you've got to go. Ultimately, you've got to go for it. You can't go in half-hearted. You've got to go in. You've got to go all in. The amount of people that said to me, even my uncle said it to me. He goes, "You know that 9 out of 10 businesses fail, John." This is what I was just like, all right, well, one doesn't. Don't
That's a great outlook.
But he looked at the 9 out of fail, and I was like, yeah, well, I just looked at, well, I'm not going to be one of the ones that fail. It's sort of, again, it goes back to the belief thing. I think you just got to have belief in it. And I know it's not. I know it's easy to say because you can't just say, "Oh, I've got belief in myself." But and it might go back to a trauma thing, and just sort of realising, you've got one chance. When you're dead, and who knows, right? But it's like before you were born, you don't remember anything, right? So when you die, maybe you don't remember anything. So it's like we've got this like. This is when my wife switches off when I talk to her, because I talk to her about space and what's the meaning of life and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, what's this all about, right? It's like we're just in this sort of reality, and it's just like, just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? No, I always said, this is what I always said to people: if it fails, I can go and get another job, and like I can go and get another job in whatever. Like I'm confident that I can go and get a job somewhere. So if it doesn't work, at least you tried. You've got no regrets.
What would you say if? How much do you care about what other people think of you?
I do care. Like I was talking about this the other day actually with my wife. So an old friend of mine, he was literally a guy that did not care what anyone thinks of him, and that used to piss me off because I used to be like, "But you should care because people think you're a bit of a dick."
Right. Yeah.
And you're my friend, and I don't want people to think that. So there's a limit, right? And you shouldn't care too much about what people think.
Yeah.
I think realistically, the only people that you should, as long as you're nice and friendly and genuine and fair, if people don't like you, then fine. It's like that's your issue. It's not my issue. Yeah. I'm not doing anything to piss for you to dislike me.
Yeah, you're not a bad person.
No, it's like my family are happy with me. My friends are happy with me. It's fine.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't like me, then it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so the reason I asked that is you mentioned obviously if it doesn't work, you can go back to another job.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest fear factor for a lot of people is they don't want to do that because they risk going back to the social media thing earlier on. We're talking about everyone wants to look like an angel. They don't want to risk ridicule. Whereas if you forget, who gives a shit what someone else thinks? If you get rid of that mentality, of course, care about your family and your loved ones and look after yourself and don't be a bad person. Don't be a dick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But don't worry about other people's outlook on you, because if you start a business and you put everything you've got into it and your passion into it and it doesn't take off, somebody says to you, "This didn't work for you, did it?" Just go, "I fucking tried."
Yeah.
I tried.
I just think, I think if people who would make a comment like that, like it didn't work, they're dickheads. Right? They're the dickheads of society. I remember one of the people that sort of a girl that I used to work with, her cousin started a gin brand,
right?
And I was fascinated with her because she came into our office. We had this event. She was serving her gin, and I was just like, "Well, you've just started this drinks business," and I was just intrigued, and I was like, "Tell me more about it." And if she failed, I'd still have like massive admiration for her because I'm like, it's a huge leap, and that's in a way, not like for self-indulgence, but if I can motivate people to, because I was a fucking sales guy for suits, right, and I'm starting a beer business. It's like you don't need to be an expert. And I still learn every day, but just give it a go.
Yeah, there's something I've just thought of as well. How many people do you know? This is a rhetorical question, but how many people do you know that haven't followed a dream or started a business? Then compare that to how many people you know that have started it and failed. I guarantee you the first number is more. So get off your fucking seat and go and do it, because there's nothing wrong with attempting and failing. Like you've just said, you were a suit salesman. Nothing wrong with that. But you now own a alcohol-free beer company. What? Try and comprehend that, because you followed your passion. You didn't follow anything else. You followed your passion and how things work out for different people. It's crazy, but that's what I think people need to remember, and that's what this podcast is all about. Your dash is so sporadic, but so perfect at the same time, because everything happens for a reason, even the trauma.
Yeah,
and that's something that's really hard to swallow for all of us. Of course, you don't want things to happen. But thank goodness some of them do, because without those things happening, you wouldn't be where you are now.
Yeah, it would have been a completely different path.
If
you're
measuring me up.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I think there's no like. I don't want to always talk about my dad's situation, but it was weird because obviously it was upsetting, but in a way, without sounding cold, it's just like I think after a few months, because I was so in the zone of just sorting everything out, I didn't really grieve, and then when I sort of sorted everything out, it wasn't like I didn't have this breakdown, right? And I remember saying to people, it's just like, well, I probably was having a breakdown because I was drinking more, but not like physically, or and I think it was weird because I didn't feel upset, and it was. But then I'm sort of quite a realist in the sense that it's like it's going to sound really cold, but it's like he's died. Life goes on, and you've got to just don't dwell on it. That's probably not. I don't know.
No. I think you're bang on. I think you're bang on. Everyone deals with things in a different way, so there's no wrong answer there.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm getting from that is that you very quickly you did grieve, but you managed to go right. How do I grieve? Okay, I need to push forward. I need to make things work. I need to make things happen, because this has given you the huge realisation that life is too fucking short. We don't know what's around the corner. Literally, we have no idea what's coming. And you could either sit and, for lack of a better term, mope around and be sad. Nothing wrong with that. Some people process things that way. Or you can go, bang, right, let me do this. And I have a reason. I think I know the reason that you were so quick to turn and run. And we don't know each other that well, but I would say the reason is because that comment that sits with you so strongly, your dad said to you, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
That's the reason you've gone, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to make him proud again.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was younger, I used to say, I remember saying, so one of my old neighbours, who's like 90 now, I saw her recently, she was like, you always told me that you were going to be an entrepreneur. I was like, we moved when I was like 9 years old. She was like, no, you were saying it then. I was like, really? I can't remember this, right? And I was just like, it sat with me. I was like, was I saying that then? And so I always had this, but my dad always, he always used to say to me, welcome to the real world.
Right.
Like, anything shit happened, welcome to the real world. He was not like, but he was just like, you've got to fucking get off your arse and just get on with stuff, right? So he was never, and that drove me, and it pushed me. And like I said, it's when I got to the suit company. So when I got to the suit company, everyone there was more of like, probably more, had a better background when they grew up. Well, I didn't have a bad background. I'm like typical working class, right? But I think they're a bit more upper class,
right,
middle class. I don't know. And so I was like the chimney sweep. That's what they called me when I started.
Right. Yeah.
And because I was just like had this, Cockney.
What, governor?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about a fucking suit?
Yeah. Basically, that's literally what I used to do to it every day. But then I just smashed it when I was there.
Right.
And I was just like, right, I've got to prove my point. I've got to prove that I'm just as good as you guys. And I think it's just, but that my dad instilled that, because it was like it's just something. He never said, oh, you're amazing every time he saw me.
But I bet you'd never change that.
No. But I hated him for it when I was growing up.
Of course. Yeah.
But then when I got to like in my 20s, I was like, I understand why you've done it now. And so even now I've got kids, I'm a bit soft with my kids, but I will push them like he pushed me, because it then made me into.
I guess it's tough love is the best way to put that.
Yeah.
Tough love and I exactly the same with my parents. My dad more so. It is what it is. Like there's. I think the best way to put it is what you just said. Like, shit happens. Crack on, mate. Because if you mope around, you ain't going to get anywhere with it. Next question about Unlimited. What is the biggest challenge to date that you have overcome with that attitude of it is what it is? What have you overcome that originally was going to potentially write somebody off if it wasn't your personal attitude towards it? Could have fucking destroyed you. What would you say is the biggest biggest sort of issue that you've overcome?
There's been so many.
There always is.
Because I had no idea about starting a business, running a business, let alone brewing beer, drinks brand, anything like that. So every step of the way is literally just been a learning curve. Biggest barriers to overcome is I think it's I guess having the inexperience or not having the credibility. So when we speak to investors, right, people say, "What's your background?" So well, I'm a suit salesman. People sort of maybe be a bit put off by that, but I'm just like, but it doesn't matter because I've still built this to what it is now.
Yeah.
Being that, so I think overcoming people's perception, even with like suppliers that we speak to, people. There's been some sharks since we started who just take advantage and try and, which pisses me off because I'm just like, even with other small brands now, I'll get other brands, founders from other brands who are just starting out call me, and I'll just try and be as helpful as possible, right? Because when I was in that instance, when I didn't know what I was doing, and I was calling around for help, trying to get people's advice, some people were just arseholes and weren't helpful, and it's like, why not helping me? Do you know what I mean?
So people are selfish out there. It's weird, isn't it? But again, I think that's generational. I'll get onto that afterwards. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know if I answered the question there, but it's sort of there's so many challenges, but you just got to overcome them because that's the only way to. That's what a challenge is for, right?
Yeah. One thing I wanted to touch base on is I think it's generational. That, and I hate to say that, if you are of the older generation to me and Johnny and don't do this, I'm sorry, but I feel like there was this really weird stigma with people that create business or are in a management position in their business. They just don't want the young people to get through. They just want to, no, you've got to earn this, mate. You've got to earn this. Whereas us, I think if somebody at the age of 21 came and said, I want to do this, I'd be like, fucking great, how can I help?
Yeah.
I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. This is, again, the reason for this. People might be trying to figure out what they want to do, and some stuff you've said is going to help them. If it helps one person, it's job done for the year, for the day, whatever way you want to look at it. What's next for Johnny Johnson? So good they named him twice.
There's so much going on at the moment. So it's like we're still a new small brand, right? Well, I say new. We're not really that new. But it's just me and my wife, the only employees in the business. Obviously, we have people who make the beer for us. We have other people who ship the beer out, like fulfillment centres. But what's next for the business is we've got a lot of great listings recently.
Right.
We're talking to a couple of retailers. One's confirmed that they want to list it. Just sorting out sort of the commercials. So retail's a big step for us.
Yeah.
But then basically our next big round of investment will supercharge what we're doing.
Okay.
So we've done everything on a shoestring budget for the last sort of few years.
Yeah.
And we really want to push it because we want to get it out. We want to get it into as many people's hands as possible. The beers taste great. And obviously I'm going to say that, but they do. It's like it's better than some of the crap that's out there in bars at the moment, right?
It's better than some of the alcoholic stuff. That's what I love about it.
Yes, a few people have said that. So, and the IPA especially, you can't really tell it's not alcoholic.
No.
So it doesn't feel like you're missing out. So business-wise, it's like really exciting time. It's in the last 6 months, it's all the hard work has started to come through with these big listings. So it's really exciting.
That must be a great feeling.
You
start to see it come together, thinking I've got no fucking hope here, and it starts coming on board.
Do you know what? It's like it's fascinating. If you'd known like the times where me and Tony sat down in September, October last year.
Yeah.
Basically at the absolute bottom of the barrel. We'd had a few things that didn't come through that we were really relying on. We were running out of money, and we were basically talking about we can't pay the mortgage this month. What we're gonna do. And then I spoke to a couple of our advisors, and within 3 days we got McMullen's, which is 130 pubs. We then got Gaucho restaurants. We then got Twickenham Rugby Stadium. We then got Eurostar listing it. And it's basically from the depths of despair, thinking, right, we've got to go and get jobs and close the business, to then getting all of this stuff come through it. And then that adds pressure. It's like, right, we need to keep funding this.
Yeah. Because just to confirm, though, most people would think, that's great, I've been saved. But hang on, no. You need to put the investment in to get the products to the people that have just signed you up.
Yeah.
That's
you've got to be able
thing.
to meet them. Yeah, so it's like, obviously, right, production goes through the roof. It's like, right, now you need the money to do that. And with a business like a consumer goods business, in our stages, it's like you've got to get funding because you don't make enough profits to fuel the growth.
Yeah.
You've got to do a certain amount of volume of beer to make it self-sustainable. And I didn't know this right before I started the business. You just think, you know, like traditional business. You have a product, sell it for profit, use a profit, and you keep growing it. Whereas, because there's so many aspects of production, social media, and there's a lot of costs involved in business now. So I didn't realise how much funding goes into our types of businesses. Yeah. So that's really exciting. The business is like taking off. And yeah, me and Tony are just sort of like riding the wave, and we've got our 2 and 3 year old daughters who are nuts, and it's just full on.
It's good though.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's been like even what you've spoken to me about today. Obviously, there's a few things that I've learned from you today about your life and stuff, and it's just so nice to witness just the timeline of your journey. Some really bad places in there, you know, but without those little bad places, you're not going to peak to the good places necessarily. And it's a sad thing to say, but that is the case a lot of the time. Yeah. So I just want to summarise a couple of pieces here that I think are really integral to your story that's going to help other people. Your background in business, none.
Yeah.
Prior to the business, prior to creating Unlimited. Your background in education, 0. Your funding was, how you started was savings predominantly. Yeah. Your driving force was a form of trauma. One of them was a form of trauma and passion, and putting those two things together meant you had to make it work, and that's exactly what you've done. And I guess you mentioned before you came on that you've had a really good round of funding recently, and things are coming through. You were close to, for example, rock bottom. Didn't know how you were going to make ends meet and pay the mortgage, and then some massive contracts brought on board. Yeah. So you literally.
It's like this
all the time, and that's all it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And eventually the peaks will be higher, but it does mean that the troughs will be even lower.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess my next question for you, one of my final questions to you, is how on earth do you manage, knowing that it's going to be up and down all the time? What keeps you going? Is it the case of if I don't do this, I'm fucked, or is it the case of I want to do this because I want to make Dad proud and
it's blind faith, right? So even recently, right, in the last 6 months, it's been ups and downs because of this growth and funding this growth, and we've got a great product. People love it. Customers, we know customers love it. We're winning great accounts. Why? It's just you just got to keep pushing, keep working.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Can I ask you this? That 30-day term. Yeah. How far outside of that are you now?
I was literally, so we got investment last week. I've got to pay it tomorrow.
So you were in at this moment in time.
It was 3 days, and in 3 days' time, we wouldn't have been able to pay that bill. But
and how long ago did you get confirmation of investment?
On Friday. We got it on Friday.
That's mental.
So yeah, but it's
but that's just 8 days out.
Yeah, but it's just but that's one bill. There's other bills, right? You've got to pay your fulfillment company for shipping all the beers out there, sold on the website and stuff. So, because you obviously get the money from the sales come in, but there's so many different costs. So, I think that's one thing that I'd like sort of people to sort of realise. It's really tough, and people I think sometimes have a perception of they looks like a sort of a very well established brand. It's literally your husband and wife in a spare bedroom having a go, and it's going well. But but anyone can do it, really. Don't do alcohol-free beer, but
yeah, please, a different industry. Yeah. But I think blind faith. Blind faith is my takeaway.
You got to, because it's like if it all failed, then it failed, but it didn't. Luckily this time,
and it won't.
No,
because I think you will never ever let it fail. One way or another, you'll always be doing it.
Yeah, I'm like I know you mentioned this book at the end.
Yeah, we'll do that.
But there's a quote. It's my quote. It's what basically Tony hates me for it, but I'm just like get it done. So when I die, Tony's going to put John Johnson got it done, right?
Yeah.
But that's so whenever there's a job to do, I'm just like right, just get it done. It's like I don't leave things because otherwise it piles up. So I think that's one bit of advice. It's a very simple quote, but just get it done. Don't wait.
I think it's bang on because it applies to every single thing from when you've cooked dinner and all the washing up needs to be, just get it done.
Yeah, get it done.
Because if you let that stick over,
Yeah.
you've then got the next thing that's going to knock on. Oh, I can't do that because I've got to do the washing, and then you've got a list. And that's just domestic home stuff, let alone business.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm talking from experience here because you said get it done. My head went, I didn't do the washing up last night. That's where it went. But it applies to every different sector of it. But yeah, is that what? So yeah, let's explain this. So this is the dash book. You are welcome to leave, as you know, a quote, statement, whatever you want in here. If it's a question, I'll ask it to the next guest that's going to come on the show, who you'll find out who that is when they come on. But yeah, I'll leave that with you. But I just want to say, first of all, thank you very much for coming on.
Mate, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
No, it's been great.
I think it's been fantastic. We'll definitely have you on again in the future.
Thank you.
And I think, I just want to say this, your dad will be impeccably proud of you.
Thank you. Don't make me cry again. Thank you.
I don't want to, but
No.
seriously, mate, I feel it.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's sensational. So make sure that you grab yourself some unlimited beer and IPA. Where can they grab it at the moment?
So if you go on our website, you obviously can get it from our website,
Yeah.
unlimited.beer, so UNLTD.beer.
Yeah.
Not .com, not .co.uk, .beer.
We'll put all the links below, of course. Yeah.
And then on there, there's a Find Us tab, and then there's a map of the UK. You can see wherever we are, bars, shops. And then we're on Amazon. But don't buy it on Amazon, buy it on our website. Because Amazon just take the piss.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's no, thanks so much for having me.
No, it's been great to have you on. I love to hearing about your journey and looking forward to seeing the rest of it, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.